everyone's joining the party. Got Brandon's latest single, Gravity. I happen to love. Right on. Got some new people in here. Supposed to be some Anix people. Right on. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Ishmael. Right on. Stefano. Julian. Sean. Hello, hello. I see you guys in the message board. Dale. Buddy. How are you? So we're just going to let the song play a minute so that I can let everyone know there's more and more people joining.
You can go, Ryan.
Hey, April. How you doing? Right on. Hi. Are you guys in hospital in San Diego?
No, we got out.
Home?
Oh, yeah, we got out last week. So
Oh, nice.
We're in a tiny little dorm on campus.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Beautiful San Diego. That's awesome. So glad to see you guys.
It's heavy like a heartbreak.
Dale shaved.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look really good.
I gotta wear a mask more, so easier without a beard.
Yeah, tell me about it. Oh my God, COVID, what a nightmare. What a fucking nightmare. Ugh. Got a full house today. Hi, Dave. Hello, Damone. Oh boy, yeah. Oh, got more people coming in. Full house tonight. Great. Sha. Got Peter. Right on. All right, do we have Jason Corey too? Yep, there he is over in the corner there. Yeah. Right on. Big old boomy kick on Gravity. So good. Yes, Dave. All right, cool. Guys, we've got Brandon already on the line with us there from his command center in the deepest, darkest parts of Orange County. And Fu is booking flights to come out and see us here in Long Beach. What's that?
I just booked it.
Yep. So we're getting messages flying in from all over the place. I've got all your guys' messages in the chat over here to my left. If you guys want to chime in and talk to all of us, feel free to raise your hand and I'll basically go up and unmute you. You can always unmute yourself too. It's just annoying because weird sounds come through the convo while we're trying to do stuff. So I'll be constantly kind of monitoring that. I put this one on Facebook Live. That way Anix fans and stuff that can't, don't always figure out that we're doing this, they can jump in and watch this more easily. So this is super cool. I always love having Brandon on. Not only has he become one of our really good friends, but he's a creative partner and he's got endless amounts of interesting things to say about how to get things done, and how he gets things done is super fascinating to me. Because any artist, as you hear on these sessions all the time, basically what we do is fucking struggle all day long to try to figure out how to do what we're doing. And every now and then we get into a flow. I'm in one right now. I'm writing like crazy right now, but I hit walls in the writing process and can't really break through them when I want to add additional layers and take it across the finish line or make things better and better. So, these kind of conversations with you guys and with Brandon, honestly, that helps me too. So all this stuff is scratching my own itch. Brandon, how are you doing?
Good, man. Good to be here and good to see everyone on the call. This is awesome. Looking forward to talking to you guys.
Thanks for doing this with us. We really appreciate it. We've got Amir in his beautiful garden, just fucking enjoying this Zoom session like he's on vacation. Look at him over there. And
I'm actually in Hawaii.
Having his morning coffee. Like, look at this fucking leisure world over here.
I know, man. It must be nice.
We've got Fu and his Canadian island command center. It's not an island. Which I always get. I tell everyone that Fu lives on a beautiful island in the Forest Island in Canada, but he always corrects me when I'm trying to make it sound even cooler than it is. It's a peninsula. But it's still super fucking cool. It's pretty amazing that we can do this. All of you here, this is awesome. So I'm letting people in still, like as I'm talking. So, guys, do you want me to kick this off, Amir and Fu, or do you guys have some things that you want to kind of dive into with Brandon, or do you want me to just kind of like just rip the fucking Band-Aid off?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So we're in the middle of creating dark mode, and it's we have enough for an album, but I still feel like we need a couple of songs. I don't know what that means. I just have some feelings that I want to add to the album, and so that's kind of what we're doing. We could wrap it up and call it finished, but I just don't feel like we're finished. I feel like there's some more we can do, and so we're in the mode right now of trying to live our lives, do all the stuff that we do, and trying to write the music, get the new stuff done. And it made me think about, something, Brandon. I mean, you're one of the most prolific artists that I've ever met. It's pretty amazing. I'm kind of wondering what your take on discipline versus inspiration is. And what I mean by that is, do you force yourself to just go into the studio sometimes and start making noise? Do you have like, look, every day I have to make some sort of noise? Or do you wait for inspiration? Is it a combination of the two and you're always kind of actively trying to seed inspiration on art energy? Or, I personally am a believer that discipline over inspiration, but I don't know how other artists work.
You have a very unique, I've told you this before, you have a unique brain where you can do all this business stuff like booking, managing tours, marketing, ads, scheduling, all this stuff. Plus you have all the artistic side of things. And usually I've found that doesn't really exist in artists. You're either great at one thing, you have to hire someone else to do all the other stuff. And that's what I'm really bad at, is the discipline. But I work best, I think, when I'm under deadlines, like the last day before everything is due is when usually the best stuff comes out. I have like just a natural gravitation towards the studio or towards anything art related, where some days it's I want to design clothes, or some days it's graphics or whatever, or doing videos. Some days it's music. So that just, I'm always being pulled towards that. But it doesn't always work out. Like some days I'll go in there wanting to finish a song and it's just, that you've probably all seen that, like that meme of like the graph of what it's like being an artist, where you start a new song, you're like, this sucks, this is horrible. And then it gets to this like peak where like, this is the best thing I've ever done. I'm going to be huge. Like I'm going to quit everything. I'm just going to do music. Like this is my break. Then the very next day, like it, collapses again. Like this is the worst thing ever. It's just this windy road of terror that you go through making stuff. And then, so yeah,
And the best, and Brandon, the best is when you mix it and then you go in the car and you're like, oh my God, this is
oh my,
horrible.
yeah,
What was I thinking?
it's pure chaos, mental chaos. Trying to get a song. Anytime I finish a song, it's number one, a miracle that the computer hasn't caught on fire or something hasn't failed. Like literally every time I finish something, I'm just happy to get that one song done without the whole place catching on fire.
I think Steve Jobs was still alive when the computer was made.
I know. And that's the thing. I'm afraid to update or do anything to this until I finish this album, and then it can all go south and I can start over. But
oh, you're still on that computer that's behind you?
Yeah.
Holy shit! So you're not cranking on your new laptop?
No, I use the new M3 is like all video and graphics.
Oh my God!
What operating system is on that Mac?
I don't even know, man. I literally haven't updated in years. So.
Oh my God!
There's something to be said, where you have like your unit that works. Think of like, we weren't like
you have a unit that works, Fu? That's good.
we weren't like updating tape decks, like every 2 weeks or whatever. It's just that you plug it in and it makes sound. I know
Yeah.
a guy, his good friend of mine, and he just got his computer exactly the way he wanted it and all the plugins that he wants, and just stopped doing anything to it. And that's just it. That's his machine. That's
Yeah.
kind of what it is.
I love that because that's kind of where I'm at. I don't need anything else. There's no plugins that are calling my name that I need to. I can do everything I need to on this. If it can just stay alive for like 5 more songs, I'll be good.
This is so good.
Yeah, but it's at
Oh
a
my-
point now where like it's crashing a lot, huh?
Oh yeah, it's a miracle to finish a song. It's getting to that point.
oh my
But
God.
back to the original question, I mean, I do try to make some kind of noise in some art form every day. And also like, just having your world set up to allow that in the easiest like route possible is huge. Like before I had this all set up and I would have to like drag things out of cases and closets and wire things up where 2 hours later you can finally make sound on something. That was a nightmare. And it would, you lose that creative spark when it hits. Sometimes it happens, at midnight you're laying in bed and you just get a melody and you're like, fuck, if I don't go record this, I'll most likely forget it in the morning. So you just need to run in there and capture it while you have it, I think, at least for me. And sometimes it works out, and sometimes a full song can hit you instantly, like where you don't have to think about anything. And then other days you'll spend 2 months trying to do a verse and you just don't know. Really, it's I think a lot of luck to get anything great. Just so you can create as much opportunities for luck to hit. If you're constantly doing things, maybe
Mm.
you'll interact with that luck at some point.
Yeah. You ascribe to that concept that luck is something that it's sort of like a target, and you can increase the size of that target by putting in the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
aiming yourself towards where luck can exist. And then
Exactly.
luck happens. So people that say they're unlucky, and I'm like, well, what are you doing to coax luck out? Because it's basically, it could be the target can be this big, or the target can be this big, or it can be this big. It's this
Yeah.
big for the people that are constantly working on the thing they want to happen. So
Yeah.
I definitely think like that as well. I heard an interview with you that actually, like I said, all my friends that are close to us and work with, they inspire me in different ways, and I always like to listen to you talk about your workflow and everything. And when you said in another interview, when you were talking about having things set up in a certain way to where they're always ready to go, it jogged something in my memory, or in my mind. And that is, I'm often so addicted to things being super clean and empty, that I will clean the ability to work out. Like I just like things to be, I'm a weird person. I can see a picture I can walk into a room and see a picture that's slightly off by a millimeter, and it will grind on me. Like it will just it'll make me uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
we're all weirdos. That's just what some of my weird shit. I'm OCD in these weird ways.
Yeah.
And when I heard you say that, I said, you know what? Fuck, man. I should just shake this shit. And everything needs to be like, I understand how I'm working right now. I'm working a lot more alone now. I have my microphone. It's here. It's ready to be pulled in front of me, and I need the tools that just have to be around me. So I set up this 3-story keyboard thing. I'm going to have another one right here, and everything is right. I can just turn. As long as everything's on, they all make noise. And, I'm definitely writing a lot more. It's really, really, really helped. And it's causing me to kind of redo our template. We have a template where you open it up. It's called Ryan Start Here. You can tell who the child in the band is.
No,
And,
that is so important to
right?
just click a button, open something with sounds that you know are gonna already sound good because you've released songs with those sounds.
Hmm.
You're able to just start changing notes around and making noise and doing something
Hmm.
without sitting for hours choosing a kick drum. Like that was a huge eye-opening, cheat code for me, basically, is having a template for an electronic song, a template for a rock or whatever it is. And then I saw something with Timbaland, the producer,
Mm.
and he basically produces without any ability to play instruments. He'll just have a mic and he'll just like mouth a drum beat, and then he'll mouth like a melody, then a bass line, and then he'll just turn on auto tune and do like vocal runs until he gets something that works. But it's I kind of have taken that same approach on a slightly different scale, but just having, again, flip a switch, turn something on, make noise, and drop a vocal melody over it. And then during that demo process, just being able to tune it and switch notes around just to latch onto something. Because all you're looking for is that initial melody of a vocal and music to start.
Mhm.
Once you get
Yep.
excited about that, then the whole rest of the song starts working. Yeah.
Problem, I think a problem that we have is that, I know for me, maybe just because I've been doing this so long, is that I actually need sounds to inspire me to write music,
Hmm.
unless it's on a guitar or something. If I'm just playing, writing a song with guitar and, I've got a band and I can just sit in a room with the drummer and Ryan or Foo or whoever, you can come up with a song
Yeah.
just by, playing a guitar. But one of the things for us is that, and this is part of the reason why, our music always takes so long, is because we spend a lot of time with stupid shit like that. But it's kind of because we're really like, I don't know, for us, it's like super important. Like, really, almost every song we do, the snare and the kick are different.
That's
Yeah.
awesome too.
And
I love that.
but it's a pain in the ass though.
Yeah.
No, because like when I have to go in and mix it and stuff too, it's like actually I've just finished a couple new dark mode songs. This last one is actually going to come out soon. Um, and I was having some trouble with the kick drum on it, and Foo's like, "Hey, I think the kick drum needs this or that or whatever." And we didn't change it, but he went in there and made a couple tweaks or whatever, and now I'm kind of rebalancing the mix. But every one of our songs, it's like this, the kick and the snare, well, actually even the drum sounds in general, especially for dark mode, a lot of these sounds are all created electronically.
Hmm.
We're actually creating a lot of these sounds that are like percussion and drums and things like that from synthesizers. So it isn't just like go to battery or go to whatever, the go-to kit that we have. And I'm not saying what you're doing isn't fucking awesome. I'm just saying that at least the way this is one of the differences, obviously, in the way that we work is that, we're always kind of looking for these unique sounds. And a lot of times these are sounds that we actually create electronically with synthesizers on top of all of that. And so, and then that kind of inspires a vibe. Like it's hard to believe, but even just, a unique kick and snare, and then this drum pattern that comes out of that, right? Can then inspire writing an entire song.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what happened.
definitely Amir's process for
Yes.
sure.
That's how we did our song, Amir, Crawl.
Yes.
It started out with, I think, a drum beat you did. We had nothing, and a drum beat kind of fired the whole marching order going on. And I totally subscribe to that idea too. Feel like in the last couple years, I've usually my go-to is like some kind of pad and bass line to start something, and then a vocal melody. And once I land on that, then I start going through the sample choosing phase. But yeah, when you have different samples every song, it's my God, the amount of time that adds to the plate to get it to sound cool in a mix is unbelievable. But there are bands that I've heard, The Faint being one of them, where a lot of
Mm.
I'll hear their songs, I'm like, this, you know, technically this sounds terrible, but they just said, fuck it. We're just gonna roll with it. Like, even though the kick is one of the worst kicks I've ever heard, whatever the case is, they just care about the overall energy rather than the quality, or not the quality so much, but the technical perfections of doing things the right way. They're just capturing the energy,
Yeah.
regardless what the overall mix sounds like compared to what's
Just,
on the radio.
everybody has different processes, and sometimes that isn't how it goes, sometimes it starts with something else and then the drums are added into that, a lot
Yeah.
of our songs go like that, one of us comes up with a bass line or whatever, something. and then it kind of gets built around that. But then again, the drums, typically, at least for us, they're the drums have to sort of fit the vibe
Hmm.
instead of just taking something and going, well, this is, we've used this before or whatever. And I don't know why that is, why we have to sort of overcomplicate it. That might be my fault.
Well, I've said many times that your process, like when you bring a song to the Julien-K like pile or to like crawl with Brandon or to stuff that you do, you usually bring in an idea that it's raw in the way that it's not a full song, but it sounds to me like it's a sound that I've never heard. It's awesome. There's another sound on top of it and another sound, like it's a part that really sounds sick. Like sonically, it's dope already. Versus the way that I write, which is probably a little bit more like Brandon writes, kind of like a singer-songwriter. I used to just do it on my guitar a lot, but now I'm really, really getting into more of an electronic approach. But I try to kind of paint more of a vibe first and get a little bit of a rough vocal down and stuff like that, knowing that you guys are going to go in there and change almost all the sounds. You know what I mean? Knowing that that's just part of the process. You guys are going to do what you do to it too, and take it to this next level. Whereas you come in with something, and a lot of times it would be up to, I would want to put a vocal on top of it or whatever, but it almost to me sounds done. You know what I mean? It's inspiring to a level where it sounds like, oh wow, this is practically a done part.
Well, it's funny because I went back and listened to, I don't remember if it was Static Whispers or one of the newer songs. And like the way that it started, it basically or no, maybe it was it I don't know. One of the songs, and it was basically exactly how it is. How it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it kind of started there, and then really all that happened was like a chorus was written or something. I think it was all that
Yep.
actually maybe was what it was.
Yeah, all that glitters, that bass line stuff in the loop
Everything
is pretty
was there.
much that's the song.
Yeah. It
That's
was
like
all,
that's it, and that's an Amir special right there. You know what I mean? And then we hope with that song I came up with a chorus really quick, which happens a lot, and then we struggle on the verse, like Brandon said, fucking months. You know what I mean? You're just pulling your fucking hair out, for months.
Julian asked, was it the same for Orgy? And yes, it was.
Yes.
Orgy was very driven by sounds. Maybe that's part of where it's kind of never left, I guess, because we used to a lot of times start with these like crazy drum loops or, drum parts or whatever. And then it would kind of get built off of that a lot of times. Um, and it would take us a long time to write songs in Orgy too.
Yeah.
So I think it's because for whatever reason, since then, I know myself personally, I'm really about really creating unique sounds and signatures, um, really for every single part in the music, and then of course later with the vocals, we always try to, um, probably even more so now, than before, trying to create unique vocal, not only sounds but parts. Um, And so, to do that for every song is definitely tricky, like, because it's like a painting, it's like we don't really want to paint the same painting, like, oh, well, I changed it. It's the same figure every time, but I move him from this part over here and I might change the colors or whatever. It's like this painting is completely blank. And then it becomes something completely that I've never painted before, kind of, I guess. And for whatever reason, that's how we've been. I mean, you look at all of our records and I mean, we're all over the place, but there is a sound to Julien-K too.
Hmm.
We try a lot of different things.
Yeah, but you can still hear that the underlying DNA is you guys.
Yeah.
That's important. And then there's someone on the opposite end of the spectrum, Gesaffelstein, where
Yeah.
it's every song is the same. It's like three different sounds. It's that are the same in every single song, every album. But by doing that, the second you hear one of his songs, you know who it is.
Yeah.
And there's something cool to that too. And I always struggle back and forth with, I want to do an album that's all, just choose 5 instruments and you can't change anything. That's it for the whole album. But then I'll go down and do the polar opposite. So yeah, both ways are cool.
Yeah, agreed. For whatever reason, that's just the way that we work. I mean, I suppose if we forced ourselves to work a different way, then we would create something in a different way, and maybe we should try that at some point.
So, I mean, you were talking about creating noise, some sort of artistic noise every day, which kind of led me to another thing that I was curious about. Um, does for you, and I could definitely talk about how it is for us or for me. Does for you being the majority creator of like the art, video, digital content, clothing, does that also influence the music, or are you mainly driven by music and then this imagery, art direction, everything comes afterwards? Um, for us, for example, it is all kind of happening at the same time, and sometimes a look and a feeling, I would say almost dark mode, was largely driven by a way I wanted the band to look. You know what I mean? So, I mean, the music followed, and I sometimes can't pull them apart. But I know other, artists that are also, digital creators and stuff too. That it's the music, they create the music, and then you've got to come up with all this stuff before. And I know with Orgy, we were part of a major record label, part of a normal major album cycle. We had to create this fucking whole album of shit, get the singles right and all this kind of stuff. Then you work on like the album cover and what the look is and design videos and stuff like that. And it was just this, and now to me, I feel like it's all utterly inextricable from one another.
Yeah,
It's
that's, I think, not trying, but living in your own world that is authentically you in every aspect, every utensil you pick up to eat food with, every pencil you use to write a note, the scissors you use to open an envelope, like every single one of those details is in some way attributes to the creation process, for me at least.
mm-hmm.
Um, so my like environment and surroundings and every single thing I interact with, hanger that I put my clothes on, all of it somehow inspires the music, because I don't really listen to music. I really don't listen to anything even remotely close to the genre of music I make. So the only time I do listen to music, it tends to be like French electronic musicians, like The Hacker, Miss Kitty, Casalvestein, Justice, that realm of stuff. But I really don't even listen to that a lot. I'm mainly listening to like podcasts and information type things because I'm always making music. So the last thing I want to do when I leave the studio, my ears are ringing, is go listen to more noise. So like, I don't remember the last time I made a song that was inspired by music. It was probably 15 years ago. It's always just comes from something. But like when I do graphics or photo shoot or video, I'm just wearing the clothes I wear every single day. I'm doing graphics that I would do just for anything I do. It's
Mm-hmm.
not making effort to make something futuristic or to dress in, black Gore-Tex. Like that's just the daily life. So
I remember when you came to the video shoot that we did for All the Emptiness, and it was raining outside and everything, and you came in that awesome new acronym setup, and you came in, you're all, and I was like, oh, this weather and this and that, and you're all, I'm completely weatherproof. Yeah, I can, yeah.
yeah,
That was really funny, and I know that you really enjoyed that you were impervious to moisture.
yeah.
And I thought that was really funny, and I was like, "Oh man, I love this." All of us are such weirdos about our clothing and find different types of pleasure in it. It's really funny.
Yeah.
I totally hear that. I totally hear that. I think that more so now than ever that we've become so indie, which is such a silly word, but honestly, it's so true because we are very much the content creators and very much creating a lot of the graphic design now and everything. We of course work with other people. You're one of them, but we're the driving force. And we can't even get through a song right now without us nearly creating a video for it. You know, some of this, especially for dark mode. You know, all of these things, all of these songs, almost they have a visual element that to go along with it. And this is the thing that's exciting about AI and the thing that kind of sucks about AI, because some of this stuff I don't know that we could afford to realize it if I couldn't fuck with it in AI or something like a look. You know, I'm talking about generating some sort of like I don't want to tell everyone what some of these ideas are, but there's not a way to do it. You know, you would have to hire a, you know, $1,000 a day makeup designer or special effects person to just get a photo shoot going, you know, but, you know, I think that's an interesting and exciting, you know, tool that AI can be. But then I sit here and I go, man, what if I create something that's good enough, you know, a 15-second video short in AI to use for promo for this song? Does that make me a bad artist? You know, does that, you know, what it's an exciting and weird time, but it's all these things are out there, and they're, to me, it all becomes tools. As long as you're not letting it think for you, to me, it's becoming a tool you can use.
Absolutely. And the same thing happened when home computer workstations where you can start recording your own stuff. Then that was looked at as, oh, you're not a real producer or musician. You have to go to the big studio to do anything legit. But it's all just changing. And at some point, there'll probably be a time where we all just say, we've had enough, or at least for me. I'm not going to just keep chasing this evolving nature of being a musician. Like, I'll just jump off at some point, maybe. But for now, I still think everything that's coming out, you can manipulate it to your own usage. Or I think using AI for like a storyboard or to generate the initial kickoff idea is cool. And then you just find a way to bring that to reality. But yeah, I mean, who knows?
I purposely asked this. I see that Ishmael commented on it, and I'll bring that up in a second. But let me, he said, but it's based on theft.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would love to hear what you have to say. You know what, Damone, I'll get to you in 1 second. Comment on that if you don't mind, because I've definitely talked with Ishmael about it. But I that's one of the reasons I brought that up, because I knew that he would comment on it.
The thing I'm most interested about with it is since we have stuff out in the public, we've released it, we have references online, using our own reference to generate AI. So it's pulling from stuff we've already done. It's pulling from like videos and images we've already put out, songs we put out, and then seeing AI's interpretation of us, basically, to like either start a new song or whatever that case may be is cool. But yeah, for I would never put in like, you know, what's a photo shoot that Depeche Mode would do in 2024 and copy that idea. Like that doesn't seem right to me, but I think referencing yourself is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, you know, I actually haven't used it a lot, but it definitely, it popped in my head, you know, the other night when I was trying to figure out how to shoot this idea that I had for like a short, like a 15-second short. And I was like, oh my, there's no way, I can't afford to do this. And then I thought, well, oh, wait a minute. I could mock the idea up and make an AI short video or whatever, and figure out how to, you know, talk about it. And I'm like, look at me. I'm thinking of this as a tool. And so I thought it was kind of interesting. Let me, and Damone, I still see you raised, but while we're talking about it, let me unmute Ishmael, my friend.
Oh, hey, how y'all doing today? Can y'all hear me?
Hey, my brother, how are you?
I'm doing all right. All right. So it's still about AI, but
yeah, that's why I brought you in early.
All right, I appreciate it. A quick side note. So there's a guy from the band called Ra.
R.A.
Yeah, R.A. So I was a huge fan, but he generated one of his most recent album covers using AI. And I was just telling him, because he's like an indie band.
Yeah,
you know, like in 06 or something like that. But anyway, I was just like, yo, man, you know, been supporting you since the beginning, buying your work, even your last campaign, some really dope artwork that he hired an artist to do. And so I was just like, as a graphic designer and an artist myself, like, this is how I make my living. So it's like,
yeah, us too.
And so that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, when I explained to him, because he didn't understand, he was ignorant about how like the AI stuff worked, and
Sure.
in terms of how it's able to create all of these images, like I say, which is taking everything from the internet, which I created, you created, whoever, processing it, boom, spinning some stuff out. And I'm just like, hey, it's decimating my industry. They're trying to literally eliminate my job, which hey, I take my hard-earned money and I support your work. So, and he was like, well, but then I can't afford to hire like other like artists to do all of this stuff and everything. But I'm like, the words out of your mouth were, your favorite album cover was something you hired a designer to do. And now you're no longer going to hire that person because you can get something in 30 seconds or whatever, but it's not even as good. So you want to eliminate an industry and hurt illustrators, graphic designers and stuff, but then expect us still to support and buy your music. I'm like, how does that make any sense? And then he couldn't answer that. So that's where I sort of like, for me, it just like, it stirs some feelings, because it's like, yo, this is what we do. This is what we're passionate about.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, I understand like part of the mindset of, because just drawing and stuff, like, hey, this thing, if it can take stuff that I actually created and make some variants, that would be cool, and it's all in my thing. But the issue of it is there still isn't a system that actually started from scratch, that didn't steal from all of us creative artists and stuff in the world. There is no system that starts like that, that's from scratch, that didn't steal from anyone. And so it's like, my thing is, until us artists are all compensated fairly for them taking our work and our blood, sweat, and tears and pouring it into this machine and making billions and billions of dollars on it, and then trying to get rid of us, like, to each his own, but it makes me feel a way about it. Even Duran, like, I love Duran, but their of their latest project, couple AI videos, and I'm like, seriously, come on, guys. It's like, you guys are Duran. You guys are like forward thinking. You've pushed the culture, like, for music, your videos and all of that stuff. It's like taking the easy way out. And it's like, not only is a little bit of the easy way, but then you're also hurting other people, because now you're not hiring videographers, you're not hiring designers. Like, so yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard question, and so far we don't have anything in us that would want to release something that was created on AI. But in terms of a tool, it's definitely been something that occasionally I've had to break out to just to come up with a way to say what I'm trying to say, but you can't necessarily get it to happen. It's almost like sounding things out. Which before, I think I would use, I don't know, Brandon, do you ever use that software like on your iPad? They have like writers software where they have like synonyms, different types of like rhymes for each word. Like I used to have this pretty complicated program where I'd go, okay, so let's say Amir, I'm saying Amir, God, what is going to rhyme with Amir to end this sentence with? And I would have, 100 things that rhyme with Amir would pop up, and you can ask it all these questions. It's tons of writers use it. I got it from a writer, like professional writers, you pay for it. It's professional software. And now I can just do it by asking, into ChatGPT. I can just go, hey, what rhymes with Amir? You know what I mean? And I don't need that software anymore, and then I can go, wait a minute, what rhymes with Amir but does this? What rhymes with, and then I can, and sometimes I don't even use the answer, and when I say that it's one of 100 different techniques or tools that I use, but it's there, so it's an interesting thing.
The thing is, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask Ryan, were you talking about Master Writer? Was that the program?
Yeah, Master Writer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A quick side note. The reason there was a rap battle in the UK, P Money versus forget his name. But he was dissing the guy because he was like, listen, I come up with my lyrics on my own. You've been using Master Writer to come up with all your rhymes and all your songs. So it's like, hey, this is my human brain. You're having to rely on a computer to do all of this
Uh-huh.
stuff to even stay on my same level.
Yeah.
So, and I had never heard of Master Writer before the
Yeah.
battle, and to find out, like, I didn't know writers have been using a tool like that. So that's a bit of education.
Yeah, so it,
So,
it just replaces what I used to have before that, and that was a thesaurus, a dictionary,
Yeah.
and all these other like books that it would take me 40 minutes to get somewhere. And by the way, a pile of sci-fi books as well, because I don't know if anyone looked at any orgy stuff, but a bunch of that symbology and all the kind of things that I did were based on different science fiction concepts and stuff that I would read. So I would have all these books and I would use them to influence and get ideas, which to me, it's that seems like I'm doing the same thing that AI is doing. You know what I mean? But I'm just doing it very, very slowly. And obviously, I'm making it original and going, okay, this is a cool influence. And then I use that idea and go, I want something that feels like this. And then I design my own thing. And then sometimes it ends up at the end of the day being pretty original and being changed. But yeah, and these tools, there's more than Master Writer. And yeah, these are a collection basically of books, but you get the answer quickly. And now it's even quicker because you can use GPT to ask the those simple questions, and it's it can be very helpful. And my mind doesn't always work where I couldn't win a rap battle. I'm not someone who can freestyle. It takes me a long time to write lyrics and figure out how to say what I want to say, and I can scat a melody really quickly, but I often can't. It takes me hours sometimes to write the words. Every now and then, though, the words will beam in from outer space, but I'm no Eminem.
What this reminds me of is, think back to like the 60s or the 50s. You had to memorize phone numbers. You had to memorize a route you're going to drive to get somewhere, or take a paper map it out, and then you memorize it. The necessity to memorize anything now is pretty much gone. Now with AI, the necessity to like use the creative brain and muscle, that's also going south. So as long as we have computers, we can still, or not we specifically, but we can still create stuff. But what happens if one day your computer just went down and or your phone or the internet, and you have no access to all these tools that you now rely on? It's like, how do you even write a song at that point? How do you make noise how do you make, do anything? Everything's becoming so easy to go from zero to something really cool, both visually, just like you were saying, in 10 seconds, you can have an awesome looking AI created image or video, or even drum samples, loops, finding stuff like that. It's great in the moment. It's great to check the box that you're creating and making something, but it's you're also at the same time, every time you do that, losing some of that creative power built in.
That I completely agree with. Yeah, there's definitely got to be something, in my opinion, in every artist. Like this, I always get frustrated when people, and this happens to me a lot, is people always think that we're just fucking messing around. Like, what fun, oh, dude, you get to go on tour, dude. Fucking A, dude, everyone's fucking, stand up in front of all those people and you're so cool. Yeah, cool. That is a fun 45 minutes of that. Sometimes it's not always fun. It's the other 16 hours that are hard.
Yeah.
And it's grueling. And there's times when people have been in the studio with us or come on tour with us to visit. And I can't tell you how many people have to go home because they can't, they're just grueled out. So there is something about, I think, anyone who is a true artist and is creating this kind of work, there is something about you that there is a huge work component to being creative, and just like exercising your body and getting, staying ripped or staying lean, which, by the way, I think is also really necessary. You should be doing that too, to stay mean and stay able, because it helps your brain. You do have to not just use AI for shit like this. I sort of brought it up and it's created this tangent because I thought it was fun. But no, I do not write, my songs by plugging them into AI. I do them the old fashioned way and it's fucking miserable. You do have to do stuff all the time that is, you do have to constantly learn. You do have to constantly kind of cut the cord, if you will, and try to create something on your synth. You do have to constantly fuck with these faders and these fucking filters and oscillators, and you do have to pick up your guitar. You do have to have I have to perform tonight, so before we were doing this, I had to get vocal warm up before I did this session, because just talking here would wear me out for the show. There is all this work, work that no one even thinks of, because you're going, but you're not, I don't know, what do people do that's real work? They think that that's not work. Like you're just goofing off, fucking around with the straw. And no, I would rather not be sucking on a straw and blowing through it. It makes me lightheaded. It's not fun at all. I feel dumb. And it sucks, and I actually have to do scales and stuff, which sucks, and and it's fucking work. It's work. So yeah, anyways, all right, so Ishmael, love you, my brother. I'm gonna mute you out of love.
Love you too,
and good I like talking about that, because I think it's interesting, and my thought last night definitely made me go, oh my gosh, what am I thinking? Wanted to chat about it today. Damone.
All right, here we go. Can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Excellent. So you guys pretty much hit the nail right on the head. You mentioned using AI as a tool, and that I 100% agree with in so many ways. And Brandon, it's like you said before, so long as the machine isn't doing the thinking for you, I think it's fair game. But you guys also made another point where you take an idea that you created and you allow technology to create variants of it. So I liken that to something like generative synthesis, right? Mm-hmm. So I had that same conundrum. I said to myself, wait a minute, if I'm using generative synthesis, is that my idea, or is that what the machine is producing? So I kind of struggled with that for a moment. But then what I realized was, it's a machine. It's just following my instructions. So long as your instructions were original, you're okay. Mm-hmm. Now, what happens as a result of it, that is where randomization comes into play. But that's the beauty of it. It generates something that you probably wouldn't have thought of yourself. You just need a tool. You just needed a little assistance there.
That's interesting. Right. It's kind of like turning on an arpeggiator that you don't know what it's going to do on your synthesizer. And I mean, you're kind of making it random, but is anything really random? I mean, it's all basically programmed in to do these things. Or there's systems in place to create this randomness and so on and so forth. That's an interesting way to think about it. That's definitely something to chew on.
Exactly. Oh, but one other thing. And
yes.
You mentioned the work that goes into things. So, okay. So, I've trained to play violin for like 20 years now, right? And so whenever I'm meeting with people, working on projects and what have you, every now and again I'll bump into someone who's using like a violin VST or some kind of orchestral VST, and I listen to it and I say, I don't know, that doesn't sound, no, we don't want to do that. We want to use the real thing. And so they ask me, well, what's the difference? And I show them, and they're like, oh, yeah, so there's a night and day difference there, because I've never seen a machine accurately replicate that. There are so many intricacies that go into playing like an acoustic instrument.
Yeah.
I've just never seen a machine be able to replicate playfield dynamics, the age of the wood, things like that. There are things there are other things that come into play. The violin that I use was made in 1987. It's almost as old as I am. And so when the wood ages that way, it sounds different. Mm-hmm. They actually have technology. There's actually a device that's specifically designed to age your violin. So you buy a brand new violin, you hook it up to this machine, let it run for a few hours, and it sounds 10 years old. So, there are things like that. So saying all that to say, yes, AI is cool when you use it as a tool, but then also I don't think we're not there. It can't replicate um, authenticity at this point. So like
Definitely.
I said, better off used as a tool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's I think the thing that we still have to bring us forward. So a violin is such a human instrument because it all depends on so many parts of the way you're holding strings and the bow and all that stuff is so organic. That's what AI doesn't do great, is make things human or like feel like a human made it. It's like too overly polished and perfect. So that's kind of where I think, at least for me, I started just, instead of using even fonts, I just started handwriting text graphics, and then just to try to give some evidence that a human was involved in this stuff. And that's kind of, by being a vocalist, Ryan, and anyone that's doing vocals, that's kind of the saving point, is that the vocal can't really be replicated exactly yet. It'll definitely get there. It's close. But as long as you can retain some evidence that a human was involved,
Mm-hmm.
that's the only real defense we have over AI, I think.
You hear
I
that
think
Depeche Mode AI cover? I posted it in the
Yeah,
chat.
it's crazy.
it's pretty crazy.
Dave
Real,
Gahan sounds like him.
that's
The
wild.
rest of it's kind of whatever, but like his voice, I mean,
Yeah.
wow.
Mhm.
That's
Pretty fucking scary. Pretty fucking
I
scary.
think personally, if I was in Depeche Mode, I would take that song, write it as Depeche Mode, and
Yeah.
release it and be like, fuck me, sue us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously, that's what they should do, is take that song, make it better, and put
Yeah.
it out right now and
Yeah.
just fuck everybody out.
I pinging on what you just said, Brandon, about some of the, writing the fonts and or foregoing fonts and writing things. I really like that, and it made me think of Your Lies Are Like Fire. I'm looking at this cover here, and I don't know if it's for Lies Are Like Fire, or if it's from this album. Let me. It's okay. Yeah, it's from Revenge, and I remember I was like, oh, dude, I really like the. I really like that cover. Like, what did you? And you go, oh, I stepped on the piece of paper on accident, and it's your shoe print.
Mhm.
And I was like, that is so fucking cool. I'm like, that you're really actually making, digital art out of some real, that like that for me was so awesome. And when I look at it, I'm like, I can't tell that at all. It just, there's something about it that looks real and has some meat to it. You know what I mean?
I think now it's just so important because, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the second I see some piece of art, I can tell immediately that it's an AI thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, even though all the AI stuff, it looks visually incredible. It looks like, the sci-fi stuff we would dream about 10 years ago, but now everyone does it. So it's like, it starts to make you think, once everything is super cool looking, all videos are super high budget looking, all music is super polished and like sounds like a hit, what's the next trend going to be? Is it the anti of that, where
I,
everything looks super lo-fi and scaled back and home done? Is that where it goes back to? And
I,
that's
I, I do actually think that, it's so funny. I keep thinking of Dune, with the Butlerian jihad, which is the jihad against thinking machines. that's taking it. That's taking it to like the highest level. But everything for me is a science fiction movie,
yeah.
and Dune has all these incredible correlations with modern times and issues of the world. It was definitely a commentary on a lot of issues that we have when it was written, and this, the rise of AI and our fear of it and all this kind of shit definitely makes me think of the law in Dune that no machine shall be made in the mind of a man. And that's why in Dune, any of you that have watched Dune, they don't explain this in the movies, but there are no computers. So when they're flying the ornithopters and stuff, it's all analog switches. And so it's
Uh,
very high tech they actually have frictionless machines in Dune. So in terms of like their ability to create materials and stuff, you're almost beyond like it's AI was 10,000 years ago, right? So their techniques for creating things are there, and there are maybe technical instruments that are somewhat like a computer, so to a degree, but to have computing, actual computing, you have to have a mentat, and those are the guys that their eyes turn white and they're like kind of like thinking. Those are human computers. So only the rich houses have mentats, and they can do beyond computational types of equations. They can factor in like political leanings and all this kind of stuff. So they could do like a hyper complex computation, and it's done through the spice and all this kind of stuff. But anyways, it really made me think like I personally, like when I see a lot of AI stuff, right now it's already glossing me over. Like I already go, okay, like I can't even make it through watching a 30-second video of it, because it all achieves this kind of like washy kind of like, beyond, I don't know, there's almost even when it's super real looking, it reminds me of who's the surrealist painter that everyone knows about, that you can go to fucking Z Gallery and get like any of his work. He has a museum in Florida. Amir, it's not Van Gogh.
Dolly.
Huh? Dali, yeah.
Dolly.
It all just to me it just has this Dali-esque vibe to it, and it just all of it already. And to me, I'm already sort of craving like, okay, I don't want to really even. I'm not interested in that. Like I'm really looking for a human thing. Like I don't know what that is, and I'm wondering if that will be, because humans want to be alive. We want to be human. We want to. I mean, I understand that AI is capable of some terrifying shit, and anyone want to learn more about the things that I think we should be afraid of, listen to a TED talk from recently from Professor Scott Galloway. And he's talking about the dangers of AI being essentially like lonely young men, and what AI can do for them and how dangerous it can be. Just listen to it. It's really fucking good, because these can AI can simulate a partner, can simulate having someone special in your life, and so that's pretty terrifying. But I think any one of us that are healthy, we want something human. We kind of crave it, as interesting as AI sounds. Jason, my brother, hop on in.
How's it going?
Hey. Good. Just trying to foment the Butlerian jihad over here.
Mine's a little less Skynet. More just wanted to say a thank you to the humans on this, because once Fu was on here, I didn't know you guys were going to do like a workflow conversation, but
yeah,
the four of you guys, the JK guys and Brandon, you guys have helped me like so much with just bouncing ideas. So I don't get a lot of collaboration. I'm isolated, and like you guys always surprise me with the way you respond. I mean, Brandon fucking laid a base 6 line for me out of nowhere because I guess he just had it hooked up. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon inspired me when we started working with him, because he there's literally no fucking lead in that ass. He just gets on it. Here's an idea. Oh, you want to do that? And it's like blam in a second. I'm like, oh fuck. Like, what was I doing? Like fucking sweeping the fucking patio, or something. And it's just like, it's really, really cool. And I think that someone in the chat was talking about, is this why collaborating is cool and this and that for artists? And the answer is fuck yeah, this is why collaborating is cool. And this is why working with other artists is super cool, because we all have to kind of be influenced by one another. And frankly, any one of us who sit in these rooms, we do. It is a little, we are a little isolated for long periods of time, and we're not going to, band practices anymore. I mean, I guess that's another loss from, like I'm not, my jamming chops are not there. Like I couldn't just jump up on stage with a band and jam out some sweet tunes. Jamming now has largely become, what we do in here. We create a part and send it to somebody, and then boosh, it comes back, and you're almost jamming by putting another part on it. And you know, sharing it, and it's wild the way we create music right now. It's just fucking wild.
Yeah. Hmm.
Where did Jason go? Okay, there we go. Yeah, well, thank you, Jason. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
Bowie
that.
did it, Kevin said. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's existed in different, you know, forms, but I mean, you know, you look at Bowie and the resources and stuff that he had to do this kind of stuff back when, you know, for us it would have been like fucking impossible. But it's really really cool. Um, all right, so as we're getting kind of closer to the end, Brandon, I have another question, and this is gonna be kind of funny, but so what is your goal artistically? Like, what the fuck are you trying to do?
I don't know, man.
What is it? Are you? As I struggle with this a lot.
Yeah.
Are you? Is the process that you're living right now? Is that the goal? Is creating the art and living the life, the art life, or is there some goal? Is there something you want to achieve?
There really isn't a goal. I've had goals earlier on. I think
Me too.
a lot of the goals I found get dictated by people that have no idea what music is, what it's like to be in the industry. For example, family members or just friends you meet, if you tell them, yeah, I make music, they automatically think, well, what have I heard? Where have I heard your music? Are you on the radio? Are you famous? Are you on MTV? Those kind of things always came up. And if you say no to all that, they immediately think, oh, he's just like a basement, like he's a failure, like
Mm-hmm.
just kind of a hobby garage, musician. They don't understand there's a world in between that,
Mm-hmm.
between just starting out and where you guys were and have been multiple times at the peak. There's a world in between that you can still live or thrive as a musician. It's up to you to determine what you consider successful for your project, and not all things are destined to be massively successful. Some of my favorite things on the planet outside of music, nobody on this call is going to know what they are, but to me they're like so critical. I'd want to be buried with these things. They're the most important things in the world to me, and nobody on this call is going to know what they are. So does that mean those things are a failure because no one knows what they are? In my opinion, they're not. But that's just back to the, my barometer for success. I don't know where it is. I I don't consider what I've done successful. The process involved is all I know is when I'm making something in that process of, okay, I've got something cool for the next week. I'm going to be excited about going in there and working on it. That's the happiest I can be as a living human being, is during that process. And that's kind of what pulls me back into it. So regardless of the outcome, if it's going to get on Spotify editorial playlist, making something that I'm excited about, that's kind of the goal. As long as I can keep that coming back, that kind of just gets me through life, basically. And
Mm.
if there's an outcome, if that song lands on a commercial or something, that's awesome. But I don't have like hopes and dreams of anything really. I
I,
just,
I
Mm-hmm.
think that all artists are tortured. We're all tortured in some sort of way. We have these like demons inside. They don't have to be bad either. It's just stuff, right?
yeah.
And this is the way, a lot of us don't sing, me, but we all have our ways of getting this sort of stuff out of us, this magical creation that happens, right? It's really just a gift, Of course you can enhance it and make it better and all of that, but it's a gift that you kind of have to embrace and understand and have some sort of belief in yourself, right? And I think that's when you, like what you're saying, Brandon, is like when you actually kind of get something done for yourself, just like Rick Rubin says, it's more important for you, as the artist to be satisfied with that, at
Yeah.
the end. That's the most important thing because it does make you feel good. Doesn't matter if anybody else likes it. Of course, it helps when other
Mhm.
people say they like it or if it becomes popular. But at the end of the day, you really have to like it more than anybody. And if
Yeah.
you're happy with it, then you've done what you just said. You know, you achieved this sort of thing for yourself that makes you continue to want to do it because it
Mhm.
makes you feel good, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately,
And
it makes you feel
having,
good to be able to listen to it by yourself. You
yeah.
know? And you go,
Exactly.
wow, I can't believe that I did this. You know, like maybe it's not good, but you know,
Having the,
able to, I was able to finish it or whatever, you know?
yeah, you beat the odds.
Yeah. And then you got
Um,
to put it out in the world and whatever happens, happens. But at the end of the day, you have to be happy with it. It has to make you happy and feel good about it, you know, and excited about it.
Having this like blind belief or motivation is also so important. And a lot of things can derail that. And the thing I found that derails that the most is comparison.
Mm.
So the more if I'm working on a song and I'm like, okay, it doesn't sound great in the mix. I want to hear how Muse did it or something like that. The second I step down that road, it's over. Game over. I want to quit. I'm listing stuff on eBay. I'm like, fuck this. I'm getting out of this. I can't do it. So that's why I just kind of stopped listening to music 10 years ago because that just absolutely derailed everything. That's the problem with social media. That's why so many people are so depressed because they see
Mhm.
this they're comparing their life to what they see by, and all that stuff. So yeah, that's just, the more things you can remove that are derailing you
Mhm.
and allow you to just believe in what you're doing in the moment that's the key, I think.
And for me, it's the tools too, you know. If you can get something that sucks you in, and of course, you know, with my brain, I constantly need this, you know, it's like an addiction basically.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
need these tools, these toys to play with, you know. And that's what gets my brain working in a creative mode a lot of times. Like you said, it's not always about, you know, hearing some music or whatever. You know, sometimes I hear things, but at the same time, I'm like, well, they're already doing it better than anybody's going to do it. So there's no point in trying to go down that path. But
Mhm.
what can I take from that? You know, like there's probably something I can take from that without stealing completely from it, you know, an
Yeah.
idea or a feeling, like Ryan always likes to say, a feeling that you can take from things like that, or imagery, even, you know, images and video and art in general, and take that as some sort of a, you know, what I always call a style council. Uh,
Hmm.
Music can be that as well to help drive ideas, because usually our albums, I mean, all our albums are basically concepts in a way. You know, they're always kind of driven by a concept, which sometimes starts with a title or maybe a song or a direction or whatever. But yeah, our records are kind of concept based, right? We always have like this album is meant to be very electronic, the most electronic record we've ever done as a whole. Um, and those things, all these things in the world will kind of set us on a path, but at the end of the day, we have to create our own path in that journey, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, you know, having the right tools and, you know, that's always fun for me, obviously, and you know, getting all these new things and creating sounds I haven't heard before, or you know, that's what kind of keeps the ball rolling a lot for us, at least.
You know,
Yeah.
it's oh,
I was,
continue, sorry.
I was just gonna say that when I first started music, you guys were like ultra influence in what I did. But back then I didn't understand the right way to use you as an influence. So the way I was doing it was trying to copy your sounds. Like, oh, I have to have V drums because so I can get that sound. I have to have a guitar synth so I can sound like a mirror. But the I guess the better way to do that, I don't know if it's the right way, is to research your influences that made you arrive at V drums, arrive at the guitar synth. Like, what
Mm.
was the thought process that inspired that movement? So that's when I do try to take inspiration, that's where I try to pull it from now, is research the history of what got that, what
Mm.
that path was.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then how else can you understand it, right? Then otherwise, then you just mimic. That makes a
But then
lot
it
of
also
sense.
makes you do something original. If you go
Yeah.
back to the original source
Mm-hmm.
material and
Mm-hmm.
then come up with your own way out of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, at the end of the day, it all comes back to the same thing I was saying, at least for my process, is that when we started the band, I didn't actually want to be in the band, Orgy. I was producing it, you know, and helping kind of create the sound, but I wasn't really interested in being in a band anymore. And, you know, they kept saying, like, dude, you got to be in the band, like, got to be in the band. And I was just like, yeah, I just don't want to play guitar anymore. Like, this is boring to me. I'm having fun engineering and, like, you know, creating sounds and doing all this other shit, you know. But then eventually I, you know, just was like, yeah, I don't want to sound like everybody else. How can I even do that? You know, and then that's kind of how I came about with the guitar synth thing, because it was completely a dead instrument basically at that point.
Mhm.
But I'd been trying to use it for years in many of my bands.
And no one would let him.
Yeah, and no one would let me. And even when I did, I wasn't credited for it, like on the Rough Cut records. Uh, and finally, you know, I was like, you know, maybe this is the time. But here I am creating something insanely complicated and doesn't even work very well. And I'm like, yeah, this is a good idea. And I'm going to need like all this gear to do this, you know, like, God, that was a stupid idea, right? But it worked.
Yeah. I remember when we were trying to get Amir to be in the band, and Jay was like, Amir's like the best guitar player. You got to have Amir in the band because there's you got to have a guitar player that good. And Amir's like, okay, I'm gonna play guitar synth, and we're all it's totally not what we meant, but it was pretty cool.
And then I came in with that
Yeah,
707 to
yeah,
rehearsal
Yeah.
and started making all this noise, and everybody was just like, what the fuck is that?
it's super cool though. It definitely helped color and make what Orgy became for sure. I mean, it's
It's
super
so
super
cool that
cool.
it was at that point it was a dead instrument because it was used in the early 80s, like Genesis, the Police,
Hmm.
the Cars. Like you would see it sporadically, but it never took off. And then you made it like a mainstream, like the coolest thing ever at that, you know. Yeah, that was
Because I
awesome.
didn't use it like it was supposed to be used.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
everybody was trying to use it like it was a keyboard and thinking that it was going to track perfectly and that, you know, you plug it in just like you would plug in a keyboard and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, no, I want to actually take all the imperfections in this,
Yeah.
utilize it as this is a plus and not a minus. And it just kind of went from there. And eventually it really, you know, became a big kind of a big thing, which, you know, honestly, I didn't really expect. It was all for myself. This was all for me. It wasn't for anybody else. I wanted it for me to make me excited about playing guitar again, or for that matter, to even be in a band, because I wasn't wanting to do that at all. So again, a piece of gear, you know what I mean? Like for me, it's totally weird, I guess. But
So,
you know, I'm part cyborg, so I guess it makes sense.
so let's have an off-camera discussion about what other dead instruments we can revive from.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I'm on the hunt constantly. Half of my collection is dead instruments.
Simon, I see your hand and your handsome haircut, and I will grab you in 1 second. Yeah, I think that's all super fucking interesting. I definitely think that I realized that I need to figure out what this concept of goals was like when I used to dream of, I used to judge my success of whether or not I was on like, you know, Conan O'Brien or something, because that's all I had back in Taft, California, that I'd watch on my rabbit ear TV. And then you go do it and you're on it and you realize you haven't even begun, and you realize that all of your goals are bullshit. And, and I really had to reassess. And that's why I asked you that question, because, I still run into people sometimes that have like a big like thing. They're trying to get a thing done, and I've had to really go back in and kind of reorganize and rethink of what it is that makes me do this and go through this shit, you know. And it's definitely not getting on Conan O'Brien anymore. So that's
What
super
is
cool
it?
to hear that.
What is it
What
for you?
for me?
Yeah.
Um,
Is it
funny.
low-intensity? Is it just an internal need? Is it your mental health? What
I desperately want to become more competent. So in every way, like, so I want to learn more and more and more, and I want to be more fluent in the thing that it is that has given me so much. So I almost look at music and creation and art as this sort of like holy thing. And, you know, it's not a God to me, but I'm saying it maybe it comes from God or something like that. It's this thing that to me, it deserves this respect. It deserves me honing my body as the best that I can to be able to go out and play. It deserves me, you know, it's worth me suffering for. And it's my brain and my humanity. We've had all this talk about AI. The truth for me is that I actually feel that our humanity is like AI is maybe a tool that I can maybe use, just like a lot of these other tools here. I'm not super concerned with it. I'm super concerned with making sure that I become better and better and better at it. And whenever I meet people like you and all the other people, Jason, or all these other people who are so good at other aspects that that I'm not as good at, it just makes me want to learn more of it. And as I learn to speak more words in this language, I can create better and better stuff. And through that, I've always said that, you know, like money is the exhaust that comes from creating something amazing. So it isn't that I'm trying to make money or trying to do this or that. I'm trying to create something awesome and be fluent in this language. And I'm trying to sort of study and focus on the art of everything that you have to do it. You know, so why would I want to do jujitsu? Why would I want to, you know, lift weights, which I don't enjoy doing? Why do I do a lot of these things that I do? Why do I sit here and blow in a cup? Why do I, you know, it's all of it is so that I can, you know, why do I go play when it's often uncomfortable? All of it is so that I can continue to hone every aspect of the thing that I consider holy, which is, you know, my art and music and expressing myself and being able to be a storyteller and paint this picture, you know. So for me, it's just that I'm struggling constantly to tell the story better. Always, but the story doesn't end. You know what I mean? So it's a 50 book anthology. You know, so I'm always looking, and that's when, you know, I look at film, I look at all sorts of other stuff, and I almost get like blue balls or FOMO because I want to do that too. I'd love to act. I'd love to do all the stuff that involved telling a story and creating alternate realities and things like that. That's what I like, and I also even like figuring out how to get it, I guess you could say sell it. I like figuring out how to market it to people. I like figuring out ways to make people aware of what it is. That's also part of in my opinion, it's part of the whole picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's sort of my obsession. But right on. I feel like I have more questions, and I could talk to you for another hour, but I know that we all have to do a Sunday. And guys, I guess this is as good a place as any to cut it. I still have a whole thing of notes here to talk to Brandon about, but we could always pick this up and do it again. There's a lot of people on, and I think everyone dug it. Thank you, bro, for giving us some of your Sunday. And oh my gosh, I got Ishmael and I got Simon. Give me 1 second here. I'm a jerk. Simon, my brother. Trying to unmute you.
Right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, hi. No, I was just trying to pick up on what Amir just said. Because it sounds like he wants to succeed where Blade Runner failed, where he's giving an organic side to the mecha world. So yeah, kudos to him. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Right on. Thank you.
I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, my brother, I'm muting you out of love. Ishmael.
Hey, just wanted to say one, thank you again, and Brandon, thanks for sharing your Sunday with us. So just for even, you know, being open to other ideas and stuff like that, and just continuing to have the conversation about AI, I just want to say thank you. And like where all this comes from, basically, is that you guys have given me some of the greatest music I've ever heard and helped me get through things and stuff like that. That's Brandon included. So it's like with the world going the way it is, with it's just like I don't want to see the thing that I love like abandon everything that made you guys you. Like, and so it's good to hear that you're saying like, while we may disagree on like some of the points of AI, I do love to still hear you saying, hey, I'm still going to be writing my songs. I'm not going to tell this computer to write songs for me.
Dude,
it's going to be playing this guitar. I'm still going to be doing this thing because that's what means the most to me. And that's why I love you guys.
Dude, it's literally almost making me want to double down on like the thing that Brandon was talking about, exercising that muscle of creativity, exercising that, getting in here every day and turning on the synthesizers and picking up the guitar and singing something, and it actually makes me just want to do it more. And I'm not super worried about it because I do think that the Butlerian jihad, I think there's a little bit of truth to it. You know, I think that I'm not alone in that I'm not overly enthusiastic about all just the dreamscape video and shit like that. It doesn't enthuse me that much as like seeing, for example, Dune Part 2. You know, that blew my mind. You know, that was almost all practical. So it still astounds me that with all the technology that we have, actually, it wasn't all practical. They smartly used digital effects and practical. But they did a lot of stuff with practical that they didn't have to do, like some of the scale of those rooms and stuff. But I still think that Villeneuve's, vision of how to make that look the way it looked and building a lot of that, actually building it, in a world of AI and insane effects where you can do all of it, like he still did that. And to me, it still struck me as extraordinarily powerful, and it made me like it better than anything I've seen in the last 10 years.
The same with Christopher Nolan, like wanting to do everything practical in camera, no like CGI when, if he can. Like think of I just have so much fatigue from CGI movies, like all the Marvel movies, like it's just overly
so
done.
much.
That I want to see something real. And I think that desire is going to continue for more real as the world goes more digital and more AI based. The craving for something real will come back.
Yeah.
Humans like real.
Yeah.
I hope it scares me for my daughter. It really makes me wonder, like, if she has no anchor that we have, like in terms of like, our core experiences and stuff and what we think is like real, like, is she going to give a shit if the song she loves so much was generated by a machine? I don't know. It's frightening to me, but maybe it's not possible because, you see she's in here every day playing keyboards with me. So, I don't know, but not everyone has Ryan Shuck as their dad. So
it's true.
Well, as a cyborg, I can tell you humans like real.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got one more. Simon.
Simon's laughing. What's going on?
Sorry, man. You just reminded me of. It sounds dodgy, but you reminded me of last night. I was talking with some Grey Days fans last night, and one of them said that she stopped listening to music online or recorded music like for 6 months ahead of any gig because she doesn't want to experience it that way. She wants to start experiencing it from live, and after that she'll listen to it recorded.
That's
so
cool.
Some people are kind of going in the whole other extreme.
Dude,
they want
I feel it. I feel it from being out there on the road. I talk to people that they want to go here. They want to go experience it in person. They are more into that, and that is fucking awesome. So yeah. All right, that's a great note to end it on, because I totally agree. So that's super cool, Brandon. Dude, thank you so much. We went a little long, and I appreciate you sticking around, and I appreciate you always doing this stuff with us and being our friend. And I'm grateful that you are our friend. And I wanted to talk about some of the new music, which I really like, and I have Gravity up right now because I like it so much and I listen to it a lot. And we'll talk next time about all the rest of that. So thank you so much, my brother.
Thanks for having me, and thanks to everyone in the chat. I see what you're saying, so really good to see everyone, and thank you very much for having me.
Awesome.
And thank you everyone on YouTube. I will post this publicly so that if Brandon, if you want to share it, it turns out to be a pretty good interview, and we will certainly share it. And yeah, Kevin just goes, church adjourned. It's amazing. Thank you guys so much for spending your Sunday with me. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thanks. Take care, guys.